Millbrook, sleepy, unremarkable, except for the statue, towering in the town square, cold grey stone, a forgotten hero frozen in time. No one remembered who he was, only that he watched, always watched. Years passed, seasons changed. The statue remained, silent, still, an unsettling presence in the heart of Millbrook. Then it started. Whispers, rumors. The statue wasn't still, it was moving. At night, under the cover of darkness, it shifted, just slightly, barely noticeable. People dismissed it, tricks of the light, overactive imaginations. But the whispers persisted, growing louder, more insistent. Something wasn't right. Sarah, a young waitress at the diner, noticed it first. A slight turn of the statue's head. She mentioned it to Peter, the night shift deputy. He scoffed, but he watched. And he saw it too. Old Mrs. Hathaway, who lived across the street, confirmed their suspicions. "He's restless," she croaked. "He's waking up." No one believed her. She was old, they said, senile. But Sarah and Peter couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. The news spread. Reporters descended on Millbrook. Scientists arrived with their instruments. They studied the statue, analyzing its composition, measuring its movements. They found nothing. "It's impossible," they declared. "Inanimate objects cannot move on their own." But the townspeople knew what they had seen. The statue was alive, and it was watching them. The movements became more pronounced. A raised arm, a step forward. Panic gripped Millbrook. People stayed indoors, afraid to venture out after dark. The statue's presence loomed large, casting a long, cold shadow over the town. Then, the disappearances began. First, it was old Mrs. Hathaway, gone without a trace. Then, a young couple walking their dog. The town held its breath, paralyzed by fear. The statue was no longer just moving, it was taking. Section 6. The Unveiling. Desperate for answers, Sarah and Peter decided to confront the statue. They had heard the legends, the whispers of the townsfolk, and the chilling tales passed down through generations. This statue, standing ominously in the town square, was said to hold secrets that no one had dared to uncover. But Sarah and Peter were different. They were driven by a need to understand, to uncover the truth that had eluded everyone else. Armed with nothing but flashlights and their courage, they approached it in the dead of night. The air was thick with tension, and every step they took seemed to echo in the stillness. The moonlight cast long shadows, making the statue appear even more menacing. They could feel the weight of the town's history pressing down on them, but they pressed on, determined to uncover whatever secrets lay hidden. The town watched from their windows, holding their breath. They had seen many try and fail, but there was something different about Sarah and Peter. Whispers spread like wildfire, and soon everyone was glued to their windows, hoping, fearing, and praying. The silence was palpable, broken only by the occasional creak of an old house or the distant hoot of an owl. It was as if the entire town was suspended in a moment of anticipation. As they reached the base of the statue, a low rumble shook the ground. It was as if the earth itself was reacting to their presence. The vibrations grew stronger, and they could feel the power emanating from the statue. It was a force unlike anything they had ever encountered, and it both terrified and exhilarated them. They knew they were on the brink of something monumental. The statue's stone eyes seemed to glow with an eerie light. It was a light that seemed to pierce through the darkness, illuminating not just the night, but their very souls. They could feel the statue watching them, judging them, and it sent chills down their spines. But they couldn't turn back now. They had come too far, and the answers they sought were within reach. Sarah reached out, her hand trembling, and touched the cold, rough surface. The texture was unlike anything she had ever felt, and it seemed to pulse with a life of its own. She could feel the energy coursing through the stone, and it resonated with something deep within her. It was as if the statue was alive, and it was responding to her touch. She closed her eyes, bracing herself for what was to come. And then it hit her. A wave of energy flowing through the statue and into her. It was a sensation unlike anything she had ever experienced, a connection that transcended time and space. She could feel the power of the statue merging with her own, and it was overwhelming. She felt as if she was being pulled into another realm, a place where the past and present collided. Visions flooded her mind. Memories, not hers. She saw glimpses of a time long past, of people and places she had never known. It was as if she was living their lives, experiencing their joys and sorrows. The visions were vivid and intense, and they left her breathless. She could feel the weight of their experiences, and it was almost too much to bear. But she knew that these visions held the key to the statue's secrets, and she had to see them through to the end. Section 7. The truth beneath the surface. The statue wasn't a statue at all. It was a vessel that held secrets beyond human comprehension, a relic from a time long forgotten, a prison, trapping a being of pure energy, an alien consciousness that had crash-landed on Earth centuries ago. This being, with its immense power and knowledge, was unlike anything the world had ever seen. The townspeople, fearing what they didn't understand, imprisoned the being in stone, condemning it to an eternity of silence and immobility. They believed they were protecting their world from an unimaginable threat. But the being never gave up. It was patient, knowing that time was on its side. It waited silently as the world changed around it. It waited, biding its time. Through the rise and fall of civilizations, through wars and peace, it remained vigilant, slowly regaining its strength, its influence. It drew energy from the earth, from the very life force of the planet, and from the beings that inhabited it, reaching out with its mind, searching for a way to break free. It knew that one day, the right moment would come, a moment when it could finally escape its stone prison and reveal the truth beneath the surface. Section 8. A connection beyond understanding. And it found Sarah. Her touch, her curiosity had created a connection, a bridge between their minds. Through Sarah, the being could see, could feel, could experience the world once more. It didn't want to harm anyone. It just wanted to go home. Sarah understood. She felt the being's loneliness, its desperation. She knew she had to help it. But how? Section 9. The statue's gaze. As dawn broke, the statue stood still once more. The first rays of sunlight touched its cold stone surface, casting long shadows across the town square. The statue had always been a silent sentinel, a guardian of secrets long forgotten by the townspeople. But today, something was different. The air was thick with anticipation, as if the very fabric of reality was holding its breath. But its gaze was different now. No longer cold and menacing, the statue's eyes seemed to hold a story, a tale of sorrow and longing. It was as if the stone had softened overnight, revealing a hidden depth of emotion that had been locked away for centuries. The townspeople had always seen the statue as a mere decoration, a relic of a bygone era. But now, it seemed to be something more, something almost alive. The townspeople emerged from their homes, blinking in the morning light. They were unaware of the change that had taken place, oblivious to the silent transformation that had occurred while they slept. Children ran past the statue, laughing and playing, while adults went about their daily routines. Yet, there was an undercurrent of unease, a sense that something was not quite right. The statue watched them all, its gaze filled with a strange sadness, as if mourning a loss that only it could understand. The statue was still there, watching them, waiting. It had always been a fixture in the town square, a constant presence that the townspeople had grown accustomed to, but now it seemed to be more than just a piece of stone. It was as if the statue was waiting for something or someone. Its eyes seemed to follow the movements of the people around it, as if searching for a familiar face in the crowd. And so was Sarah. The being was free. Sarah had always felt a connection to the statue, a bond that she couldn't quite explain. She had spent countless hours standing in front of it, lost in thought. But now, she felt something different. It was as if the statue was speaking to her, communicating in a language that only she could understand. The being that had been trapped within the stone was now free, but not in the way anyone expected. It was free in Sarah's mind. The consciousness that had been imprisoned within the statue had found a new home, a new vessel. Sarah could feel its presence, a silent passenger sharing her thoughts, her experiences. It was a strange sensation, like having a second set of eyes, a second mind. She could sense its curiosity, its wonder at the world around it. And she knew that her life would never be the same again. A silent passenger sharing her thoughts, her experiences. Sarah had always been a solitary person, content with her own company. But now, she had someone to share her innermost thoughts with, someone who understood her in a way that no one else could. It was both comforting and unsettling, knowing that she was never truly alone. The being was a part of her now, a constant presence in her mind. Where they would go from there, what they would do, no one knew. The future was uncertain, a blank canvas waiting to be filled. Sarah had always been a planner, someone who liked to know what was coming next. But now she found herself embracing the unknown, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. She knew that she had a responsibility, not just to herself, but to the being that had chosen her as its host. The future of Millbrook, and perhaps the world, rested in the hands of a young waitress and the alien consciousness trapped within her mind. It was a daunting thought, one that weighed heavily on Sarah's shoulders, but she was determined to rise to the challenge, to protect her town and the people she loved. She knew that the being had chosen her for a reason, and she was ready to prove herself worthy of that trust. The statue still stood in the town square, a silent reminder of the day the impossible became real. It was a symbol of the extraordinary, a testament to the power of belief and the strength of the human spirit. The townspeople would never forget the day that the statue came to life, the day that their world was forever changed. And though the statue was now empty, its purpose fulfilled, its legacy would live on. But it was only stone now, empty. The magic that had once filled it was gone, leaving behind a hollow shell. But the statue had served its purpose, and its story was far from over. It had passed the torch to Sarah, entrusting her with the future. And as she stood in front of the statue, she felt a sense of peace, knowing that she was not alone. The real story was just beginning. Sarah's journey was only just starting, and she knew that there were many challenges ahead, but she was ready to face them, with the being by her side. Together they would uncover the secrets of the past and forge a new future. The statue's gaze had shifted, but its legacy would endure, guiding Sarah on her path. And as the first light of dawn broke over the town, a new chapter began.